Why Eustass Kid and Monkey D. Luffy can't be on the same island. Now I know what you're thinking. Recently, Eustass Kid has been seemingly made out to look like a joke. The same Demaro Black that made Luffy look like a joke right after the time skip is mocking Eustass Kid. And I want to say this, watch the entire video to see why I think these two will have one of the greatest beefs in the One Piece story. And unlike my usual intros, I'm not going to bullshit you guys. We're going straight to it, guys. Let's get into the action. I always remember when Luffy was told that he was the number 2 highest bounty amongst the 11 supernovas, and Chopper's complete shock. And it's crazy. I don't blame Chopper. Like, don't blame him. Like, he's beating Crocodile, Enel, Rob Lucci, Gecko Moria, and still someone surpassed him in the bounty. Like, that is so shocked. I was even shocked when I was reading that chapter. And then, of course, you see the number 1 supernova bounty, which is Eustass Kid, debuting, beefing with Scratchman Apu, which we know that will be a very toxic relationship. And very ironic because his bounty is 315 million berry. That's a lot for even post-time skip standards. Like, honestly, 315 million is still respectable in the New World. Now, of course, Shaki does explain that Eustass Kid bounty is higher because he causes damage to ordinary citizens. And thinking about that, I just think right now where he's located at Elbaf, the Giants should be scared. Kid, especially after what he just went through, is not going to be holding back. And I always thought that a lot of people think of Kid of just like one dimensional, but I think there is some other dimensions to Eustass Kid, like when he talks about the greedy nobles making villains look humane and says the world is in this state because scum like them control it. And then he says we got our bad side and our Q side too. And of course, let's buy it if someone instant comes up. So he's still able to deal with the auction, but it understands how villainous it is. And Kid understands the makeup of the world, but has no business to stand on. Like, he has no morals he lives by. He just understands what's actually going on. He then says he heard some bad rumors of Law, which Law sticks the middle finger in an iconic panel, and Kid replies, lacking in manners, which is ironic because we know Kid has no manners himself. And one thing about Kid, he's not sensitive, so don't think that middle finger bothered him. If anything, it excited him. Kid then says it's like the world in miniature. What a farce. Let's get out of here, as he gives up on the auction. Like, the world, aka Luffy, aka Joy Boy, crashes in on this world that's so chaotic. I think it's interesting. Now, Kid respects the past when acknowledging Silver's Rayleigh, so him and Elbaf will definitely respect the lore of the Sangha Nika, of course, aka Luffy. Kid then says, I got to see how crazy Straw Hat Luffy is. He had no complaints here. So imagine when he sees Elbaf Luffy in his Sangha Nika form, and then of course he pisses off Luffy and Law. They are rivals, of course. Like, we see that moment in, of course, Sabaody. That was pretty cool. And the first time seeing Eustass Kid double power, it's like a combination of Luffy's power with magnetism. It's going to be useful, especially after Vegapunk's speech and thinking about all of the tectonic plates of the world and how the world's sinking. I think Kid's power is more useful than a lot of people think. Kid then says Luffy's powers are the weirdest of them all. Well, now that's an understatement, knowing what we know now about how Luffy's stealth ability was hidden the entire time. Kid says next time he sees Luffy, he won't be so easy, and Luffy says, I'll find the One Piece, which shocks him now, because excluding Wano, the next time they do run into each other will be over, of course, will be over the One Piece, with Kid probably losing his road poneglyph. So I think that was a very cool scene. Kid then says he killed everyone who laughed, and pretty much says let's meet up in the New World. Kind of reminds me of everyone laughing at Kid losing to Ben Beckman, Kaido, and Shanks, like they're not the top of the One Piece world, And Blackbeard said it best, let these guys laugh. Then of course there's like Kid and Law battle with Apache Vista, which was foreshadowing of their clash of double teaming against Big Mom and Yonko, in my opinion. Kid understands nothing is over after Whitebeard's death, and that Blackbeard is born in a new power, and Kaido, Big Mom, and Shanks' balance is of course broken, and the new age is dawning. So Kid understands the world politics that's currently going on in the One Piece world. Kid thinks Luffy saying Whitebeard's era is over and it's my era, which of course Luffy would never really make that statement. And then he says Luffy is standing out, but he's not foolish enough to let him hold on to that advantage for too long. So you can see that Kid is really competing with Luffy here. Then of course he talks about it's do or die out here. Shouldn't have come out here if you didn't have the resolve. Of course is when they begged back to go back into paradise. And now Kid of course lost an arm. His friend ate a smile, and he lost his ship and almost his life. Yeah, the New World, this is definitely ironic as well, because Kid just got destroyed by the New World. Now, jumping to, of course, post-time skip, when Luffy was arguing with Big Mom, we learned of that Kid destroyed 2 of her pirate ships on her fleet. So we already knew that Kid was definitely making big moves as soon as we got into the post-time skip. Of course, his official post-time skip debut, we see him with new scars, a new metal arm after, of course, 2 years, and he says, "You finally made your move, Straw Hat." So he's been waiting for Luffy to make his move. Like I told you guys, he's been eyeing Luffy. Of course, we definitely saw news break of the Kid Alliance, which of course, Luffy's excited and curious if they're planning the same thing of taking down a Yonko, which of course they were. And we later see this when it comes to which Yonko they wanted to take out, which was red-haired Shanks, Luffy's role model. And we understand now, currently in the story, why the Alliance wanted red-haired Shanks, but at the time we were just thinking, what the hell? It's funny because the Yonko that Luffy targeted falls right in front of Kid's face. Kid didn't even want to smoke with Kaido, yo. He wanted to smoke with, in my opinion, Shanks and Big Mom, because we know he already went into Big Mom's territory and took a road phonograph, of course, and all that stuff. And then, of course, Shanks because of what happened with his arm. So the fact that Kaido falls right in his face, it's kind of funny because all 3 Yonkos that he talks about pre-time skip, he had a run-in with. And then Kaido, of course, mocks the worst generation by telling Kid to warn his fellow Luffy. We were just playing little pirate games, and Luffy got the same treatment as Kid as soon as he entered Wano, so you gotta cut Kid some slack for getting destroyed by Kaido. And then, of course, after Luffy used Conqueror's Haki while he was unconscious, Kaido confirms Kid to also have it. So you have to understand, Conqueror's Haki is the most powerful Haki, and it's the potential of having Conqueror's coding, which we know Roger and Whitebeard and this Legends all had. So you have to understand, Kid has the potential to be a top tier in the story, regardless of how you feel about him. It was also cool to see the prison of Udon when Kid was competing with Luffy with only 1 arm, showing that his physical strength is, no, he's not carried by his double foot. He has physical strength that is immense. And then, of course, Kid clears up rumors for the fans. I feel like Oda really did this for the fan base that was talking shit about Kid, talking about how Kid, of course, he actually did injure a Swiss general, lost an arm to the red-haired pirates, and says he's gonna get famous for taking down Kaido. It's kind of like Kid was letting the fans know what's really going on in, of course, the One Piece story. Eustass Kid, of course, later on easily escapes prison of Udon, and Luffy is suspected of helping him, which I thought was very interesting. And then, of course, Luffy is shocked as Queen calls Kid pretty much retarded, as Eustass Kid is caught once again. And then we find out he let himself get caught for, of course, Kamazo, aka Killer, and that just shows that, you know what's crazy? Say what you want about Kid, yo. His loyalty is super strong. The fact that he ran back for Killer. And then, of course, we see Raizo, who gives Eustass Kid a key to escape. And he's just sitting there staring, seeing Luffy escape with the help from others. And let's be honest with you, he's by himself. And he got betrayed by people like Hawkins and Apu. So you could see Kid is really pondering. Luffy then, of course, offers Kid to join him in the fight against Kaido. But he says, look at Killer. I'm done with this stuff. He says he doesn't trust alliances and says a gift that he doesn't kill Luffy right here and there. Of course, Luffy was kind of injured from like all the things that went down in prison Udon, and says he's going to do things his own way, which reminds me of Miles Morales for taking everything seriously right now. Of course, then later on, when the war is about to begin, we see Punk Rotten. We don't actually see the form, but we see Kid's own version of Bounce Man in my eyes. And then, of course, later on, we see him also saying, don't let Straw Hat get the jump on us. Another time of him competing with Luffy. Then also we see Kid shocked to see Jinbei joining the Straw Hats, because I believe Kid will have a monster join him in the future. But all I'm thinking is, yeah, Luffy has a former warlord joining him. Like, Luffy's crew is already powerful, and then he has a former warlord joining him. Like, that helps Luffy against Kid in the race for the One Piece. And I thought it was cool how Kid says he's going to take out Kaido, and Luffy says, don't let Kid get there first, when they're all just trying to get to, of course, Onigashima. And then, of course, Kid calls Luffy an idiot and says, forget him. It makes it easiest to get around when Luffy's causing havoc during the Onigashima raid. Later on, we see a Punk Gibson to Apu for betraying him and stops Apu from attacking Luffy and Zoro, which, of course, he's just getting his get back. And then, of course, Luffy got Kid's back and says, let's run to the castle, which pisses off Kid. We're like, why are you helping me? Like, that's a Kid's reaction. Later on, we definitely see them preparing to fight Kaido the same way he will be prepared to fight Luffy and Elbaf. Like, Luffy, the Kid is, you know what's crazy? He rarely plans, but when he does plan, he is amazing. I thought it was very cool in the iconic chapter 1000. Big Mom, Kaido, and Kid were the only ones to talk when Luffy showed up on the rooftop. Oda does nothing on does nothing if it's not on purpose. He does nothing on accident. So Kid definitely ordered if we wanted Kid to be portrayed in the same highlight as Big Mom and Kaido. And Kid was shocked at Luffy's red rock and says, you can hurt Kaido with physical blows. And that's funny because Killer even says, we have a chance now. Killer felt like with Kid's power, we didn't have a chance. But as soon as Luffy was able to physically damage Kaido with a physical blow, Killer believed in another captain. Just showing you how the gap between Luffy and Kid was getting clearer and clearer on the rooftop. When we see Kid, of course, next time we see him, he better have some better advancement of hockey, because as we've seen, Luffy, that's what made Luffy on a whole nother level. Then of course we see Kid shaming Law for being Luffy's henchmen and calls them losers, which is just the whole competing factor between these rivals. This leads to them not reacting to Big Mom's attack and of tanking that fire attack, which of course Zoro calls them idiots for. We then see Punk Rotten and how Kid plans to crush and compact Kaido with his Dofra ability. So at least Kid has a plan. It's not the greatest one, but he has something. He's not just going there winging it. Then of course we see Luffy destroying Kaido and had Kid looking shocked that Gear 4 was able to admit that much power. Kid says that power comes at a cost, but if all those punches did full damage, it's worth it. And let's be honest here, I think Kid definitely needs a sacrifice, kind of like Luffy has Gear 4 for a power boost in Elbaf. That would be very cool. Later on, we see facing Kaido and Big Mom together. Kid says it's just like hell, while Luffy says he's been to hell and back plenty of times. We see different perspectives between these two rivals. Like Kid is kind of like laughing about this, like it's like he's laughing about Hellfire, and Luffy saying, "Yeah, this is nothing, yo." It's like he's more like laid back compared to Kid with this. And then of course we see a switch up with Kid. Yo, he talks about Kaido, but he says, "Leave Big Mom to us." For the good of the team, he decides to go for a Yonko he has no actual beef with. Yeah, there's some rumblings with him destroying fleets, pirates of the Big Mom fleet, and of course injuring the Sweet Commander. For him to do that just shows that Kid uses logic, yo. He knew that he had to take on for the team. Yes, he wants to take out Kaido, but you gotta go for another Yonko and separate them, and he did that. That's when I knew Kid's logic was amazing. And later on, we actually see him say, "Beat it, Straw Hats, she's my prey," as he punked Gibson Big Mom's face, saving Usopp and Nami, which I think will be relevant in Elbaf, because it builds a relationship between Straw Hat Pirates and Eustass Kid. As we know, Eustass Kid is gonna be an antagonist in Elbaf, and I think Big Mom will also be relevant in Elbaf, so seeing them go at it and the Straw Hats watching was cool. And after Luffy says, "I will beat Kaido," Kid says, "You better." So Kid believes in Luffy's power after, of course, 1,000 chapters. So I definitely want to say that I thought it was very cool that Kid was saying "you better," like pretty hype. And Kid says he finally has a chance to take down a Yonko. "If I die like this, my life as a pirate would be a joke." Of course. And let's be honest with you, this just shows me that Kid is not dead. He's still alive. And it shows his goals too, and what he really wants to achieve. Then of course we learn of Kid having an awakening. It's crazy to say this, but Kid awakened his Delver before Luffy, so he did do something before Luffy, but it's not mastered. I think Elbaf gives him time to truly awaken his Delver to the fullest and master it completely. If he's able to do that, he's going to be stronger than he was in Wano when he actually helped defeat Big Mom. And we learn that Kid's awakening allows him to assign field of attraction, and of course Law asks him how long does it last, and he says shut the hell up, so he's definitely not showing his secrets. He's smarter than that. And after Big Mom acknowledges them, Kid says, "I don't give a damn what it costs, I'm going to tear her from her throne." That's willpower. And I think that's why there's going to be a return in Elbaf. I thought it was cool how Big Mom was shocked that Kid can still stand, in which he replies, "Kaido is reaching his limit. Mountains can be moved by rain. And they say you Yonko are invincible. No such thing." Wow, a very powerful statement. I think Kid showing his durability and willpower was pretty cool. Big Mom even acknowledged it. And when Big Mom says, "I am Big Mom," Kid says, "That's why I'm gonna finish you off." So you see the battle of words between these two characters. And when Big Mom tanked Kid's final attack, he said, "Why should he be afraid? She's dying. Let me help get you to hell." A lot of confidence right here. And that was always cool when Luffy really respected Kid and Law for beating Big Mom. One of the more underrated feats that never really gets talked about, them taking out Yonko. Like Kid, even Luffy says they're amazing, and Kyle was in complete shock. Like, you have to understand, yeah, it's a 2v1, but you're still taking down a Yonko. That just shows the two people that took down that Yonko have to be monsters. And I thought it was cool seeing Kid's reaction to Luffy's Conqueror's Haki ooze out of him when he was in Gear 5th. Eventually seeing Gear 5th Luffy as well was in complete shock at the power his rival was showing. In post Wano, we see Kid Law's bounty equal to Luffy, which I'm not gonna lie, I'll say this, that's a W in my book for Kid, because I think Luffy was goated in the Wano arc, and he should have had a higher bounty than them. Even Apu was wondering where Kid went after seeing the bounty. He was in a weird state, but Killer already knew that Kid was more upset of not the bounty, but the Yonko status. That's right, as soon as Kid saw Luffy was a Yonko, he came there to eliminate Luffy, building back that tension between them and showing that Kid still sees Luffy as a rival. And Luffy is Kid's beef over the route direction, and pretty much Kid calling him a cocky Yonko. I thought that was very cool to see. Like, yeah, they're cool, but they're also like beef. It kind of reminds you of Goku and Vegeta. And then seeing Kid's beef with the Marines, them being hunted and stuff, and like how he's happy about that with Buggy putting the bounty posters on them, kind of makes you think that we might see some Green Bull versus Kid Smoke in Elbaf. I think that'll be a very fair matchup. And of course, we talk about the man marked by flames, and Kid's plotline is still active. Like I said, this man marked by flames, Kid has to be involved with this. Luffy finding out the last world poneglyph at the same time as Kid, I think that could really cause a tension. And then of course we see Kid baits Luffy and Law to take the unsafe leave of Wano, taking the waterfall instead of taking the safe lift. So Kid's still getting under Luffy's skin. And the next time we see Kid was during Egghead Island, and Kid says, I always like exploring islands, and he's excited for Elbaf. But let's be honest here, that's Luffy's next art, and Oda did this on purpose, though. Like, we're gonna see some Kid Luffy stuff in Elbaf. It's gonna be hype. Of course, later on we see that Kid, we actually get explained what happened with the red-hair pirates. He actually has beef with Ben Beckman. That's why he's pissed off. Ben Beckman took his arm, which was cool to see. That confirmed. And I like how Kid said when Killer was talking about how you're not going to just lose an arm, you're probably going to lose your life if we lose this. And the Kid says that's only if I lose. Shows his mindset. Yeah, let's be honest here. He was going up against a tall mountain, but he still believes in him winning. And I thought it was cool how Shanks even respected Kid to Lucky Roo. And Lucky Roo said, hey, we can handle it, Shanks. You don't have to come in. He's like, nah, this guy's worth 3 billion berries. Like, you got to respect these young guys growing up. And he even checks out his stat sheet, he's planning for the battle against Kid. Like, he's not treating Kid like a scrub, Shanks was actually treating him with respect. And of course, I thought it was cool how Kid was able to take out the entire Shanks fleet, a Yonko fleet. Now, of course, he didn't actually do it because Shanks saw Future Sight and saw the damage was too extreme, and that's why he had to go in and fight Kid right away, which is strange because you don't usually see the Yonkos fight the captains right away. Like, the fact that they went straight to it was pretty cool to see in the One Piece story. And Shanks did a Roger level attack, Divine Departure on Kid, and exploded the Divine Damned Punk on himself as well. So he got double damage. That's why he was so winded from that attack. Yes, it's a crazy attack. Divine Departure is a Pirate King level attack, but don't get twisted. The damn Punk exploding, like, that's the reason why even Killer got hit with it. And we even see later on, Kid was not moving. He was dying. This was a good thing in my opinion because it reminds me of the Ragnarok that Kaido hit Luffy with, and that's where they unlocked Kankosaki coding. So you guys see where I'm going with this. And then finally, the last moments of Kid, the narrator says Kid got destroyed, and I'm just thinking Oda loves a good comeback. So Oda's destroying Kid for a very good reason. Yep, that's right. The reason why I made this video was to talk about how Kid is getting Kankosaki coding, guys. Combined with his awakening being more developed, will have him in the top tier of the verse during the Elbaf arc. He will learn something in Elbaf, maybe side with Loki. There's definitely division in Elbaf when it comes to the giants, and even find the last world poneglyph somehow. And if he has one world poneglyph, and Luffy comes in there with his 3 red poneglyphs, they will have to battle for them to actually see who gets the laugh tail. By beating Kid, Luffy will that will lead Luffy into this battle with Blackbeard that could actually be happening on Laugh Tale, or the end of Elbaf, who knows. We know One Piece is ending, and Oda always has big plans for Eustass Kid. Originally, he never even cared about the supernovas except Eustass Kid. So Kid, I'll tell you guys right now, there's going to be some cool stuff, and don't be surprised if we also see some Kid versus Admiral Green Bull stuff happening too. So this video is just me to explain the beef between Kid and Luffy and how it can be developed crazy in Elbaf, guys. If you guys want more videos like this, of course, you guys know what to do.